Hello and welcome to Evolve by Erica, the podcast. This is Erica Polsinelli, your host, here to talk about all things spirituality, 5D, high vibrational, health, wellness, and beyond. I'm so excited that you're here. Come on in. Hello, guys, and welcome back for another podcast episode. And today I have a really special guest. It is my best friend, a soul sister, someone who I have been connected to very serendipitously throughout my whole life since fourth grade, and we're going to tell you all the details. I have her here with me. Her name's Jamie, and we're going to be sharing about our friendship as I want to say soulmates and how friends can be soulmates as well, and talk about a lot of things today, the good times together, the challenging times together, and we've really been with each other through it all. So I'm excited for you to be here and meet her. Welcome, Jamie. I'm so happy to have you.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Are you really, though? Be honest with us.
Yes, I am.
How do you feel right now?
A little anxious as usual, but excited.
Do you like speaking in public?
Love it.
So let's get started. By the way, Vinny and Lou, they've been friends. We're going to get into that too, but they created the questions for today. So the questions that I'm asking Jamie and that we're answering together are created from our beloveds. So this one I, of course, started with. So Vinny wouldn't really care about this question, but I want to start with your astrology. You've always been super into astrology.
Yeah.
And from like such a young age, you're into horoscopes and psychics, and I think it really speaks to who you are and the astrology that you have. So tell us a little bit about your astrology.
Okay, so I'm a Pisces, and if you can see, I have my Pisces astrology symbol on my neck. I wear it every day. Being a Pisces is something that I'm truly connected with, and I feel like I embody all of the characteristics of a Pisces. Whenever I meet somebody, I always try to guess their sign, and then it's a conversation that I always start off with when I'm meeting somebody new.
I love that.
Yeah.
And don't forget about your rising sign that you really can accept.
So somehow I'm a Leo, which is very interesting because anybody who knows anything about Leos knows that I do not come across as a Leo. So it's something very interesting, and I'm still trying to figure it out.
It's interesting, too, that you're attracted to Leos because Lou, her fiance, is a Leo, and I'm a Leo rising.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of Leos in your life. So I want you to get started by telling your version of how we met.
Okay, so going back into fourth grade, I was a new student. I had just moved to a new school. I didn't have any friends, and I'm very shy. So during lunch one day, instead of eating by myself, I went over and asked Erica. She was eating with one other girl, and I asked her if we could be friends. And pretty much from that day on, we were inseparable. We've done every single thing together, and I think I asked her if we could be best friends. And from that day on, that was really it.
Yeah, but you used to say that I asked you. And then I told you. I was like, no, you asked me.
Somebody asked somebody.
Yeah, it's interesting because just like a few months ago, I started to reflect on my life, and I feel like that's what this practice has me do very often. Like I will get flashbacks from when I'm younger, different moments in my life, and there's so much inner healing and inner child work that goes on with the practice. And very recently, I shared this with you and your mom. I actually hated school so much, and I just wanted to be home with my mom. And I was like, it's so funny because like I feel like such an introvert, but when we're together, I think I'm the more extroverted person. Mm-hmm. And you helped me to become more of an extrovert at school. And it's like this yin and yang, and we see it like throughout our life, I feel like, of how we both complement each other and help to bring out the best side of one another. And my whole trajectory in school and my energy towards school and going to school completely changed after meeting you. Literally that day. I feel like that day, I believe, I remember it as you asked me to be your friend. And like from there, that was it. And we just like catapulted into family. Mm-hmm. Like our family became best friends. Our moms are still best friends. We went on vacations together. Oh my gosh, going through puberty in Florida together.
Oh. We learned about deodorant that week.
Yes. So it was just a really serendipitous series of events that led to this lifelong friendship. So, high school. We went to the same high school together. Yeah.
So-
Anything exciting you want to mention from there?
We started actually our high school in 7th grade, which is
Yeah.
now considered a middle school. But instead of going to the public school with all our friends from elementary, we branched off. We went to Kellenberg Catholic School together. And from 7th grade on, we experienced everything that high school has to offer together from
Being best friends. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we cheered together. We did like every sport we pretty much did together. But I do think there was a season or two that you did something I didn't do. Was it lacrosse?
lacrosse.
Yeah, that was like the only time we like didn't do the same exact thing together, which is crazy to think
Yes.
about. It's so wild. Wow. So yeah, we spent our whole high school career together, and then I feel like things got a little wild when it was time for college because we were finally separating. And I want to back it up for a minute. We were so close in elementary school that our teachers actually didn't want to separate us. And since Jamie came in 4th grade, we were together 4th grade, 5th grade, and 6th grade until we ended elementary school because our teachers were literally like, they're best friends. They're so good for one another.
Right.
It actually motivates them. It doesn't get in the way of their education, and we want to keep them together.
And as teachers, we know that we usually separate friends. So for our teachers to keep us together, it meant something.
Yeah, totally. And then it came to college, which was really hard because we both really enjoyed our high school experience. We had a really big group of friends. We had so much fun together. And college was a really weird time. And I'll never forget, I was just talking to my dad about this. When we all went to Bahamas and like so many of our friends were there. I remember crying on the plane ride home and being like, Dad, things are never going to be the same, ever. And he looked at me and I'm like hysterically crying on the plane, and I'm a senior in high school. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Dad, I'm telling you, things are never going to be the same. And in a way, they were never the same.
Right.
Like we didn't keep in touch with our friends that we were really close with. And you went to a different we went to different colleges, and he'll always say, he was like, you were so wise. I look back now and now I see what you were saying. Not that things are bad. They're just not the same. And you saw that because it was something special we
Right.
really all had together. Yeah.
crazy
So
to think about.
college. Okay. Share a little bit. Tell
Okay,
us. Tell us.
We both went away to different schools, and it's crazy. Even though we were separated, we were still kind of going through the same things together, and we were still connected in certain habits we developed, not such great habits we developed. I don't know if you want to share.
Yeah, I do. I want to go there.
So being away was really tough for me, and I know you as well. Like we had never been away from our moms. We were both really close with our moms, and I think we cried every cheerleading camp, which was only like
Literally.
2 days away from our parents. So being away from school was really challenging. So with that difficulty came bad habits. We'll talk about. We started developing
An
eating disorder,
Yeah.
in a way to like control everything that we couldn't control going on around us. So it was interesting. We both know that we both didn't know that the other one was going through this, but when we came home and we were able to see each other for the first time, we had that connection still that we were both dealing with something so serious and so challenging, even being so far apart from one another.
And it's really interesting because I feel like in the first semester of college, like we weren't keeping in touch. Like we were
Right.
trying to just figure out, almost like survival mode, like figure out who our friends were in this new place, navigate the new place. And I think there was also a lot of ego, like, oh yeah, my college is so much fun. Meanwhile, we were fucking miserable. I was never more miserable in my life going away to school. It's very... Yeah, it was a really hard time for me too. It was such a dark time. And we both, as Jamie shared, developed an eating disorder and had no idea that the other one was struggling from this. And we developed it in different ways. So I've shared on the podcast before when I developed mine through like really an experiment, not an experiment, a crash diet. Like my friends at college wanted to do a diet for Halloween to look good in their Halloween costumes. And like I was like, wait, what do you mean? I'm like, diets, we're young and we're beautiful. Diets
Right.
are not for us. Like I was so naive, I guess you would call it. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like it was something like to put my energy towards because I was really bored. We were so busy and really just involved in our high school. And this was a place where I could, like, okay, I could put all my energy towards this. I could exercise. This could be my goal for the day. And it ended being very destructive and scary, and I needed medical intervention. But the fact that we both went through that without knowing one another was dealing with it was very interesting. And then when we came home, we started to, and I'm sure our moms were talking about
Absolutely.
it.
We went to the same,
I don't mean to laugh, but it was really,
yes,
it was
therapy.
It was really bad.
And then we both wound up leaving college after a year, coming home, going to Hofstra together because being away, just I'm glad we tried it out to see and to have that experience and to say we at least tried it, but knowing that it wasn't something for us.
Yeah. At least not that at that time.
Right.
You know? So we came back from college being away, and we came to Hofstra, and we decided to pledge for a sorority. I've never talked about this on the podcast, and I cannot wait. So of course, being sisters, like, we rushed together, and the same sororities were interested in us both. And then we decided to go for one together, and it was an interesting process.
Yes.
Do you want to share?
So what I remember most in that is just being extremely exhausted. We weren't able to sleep. And then I was,
if you know us, we both
love
need to sleep.
And I'm a huge nerd. Like, getting good grades has always been something that I take pride in. And I remember failing my first test. I got like a 52 because I was so tired, so sleep deprived, and I hadn't had any time to study. So I was like, this is it. I'm not doing this anymore. My grades are suffering. So that was it for me. I threw in the towel after just a week. I didn't last very long. And then slowly but surely everybody else started to throw in the towel as well. And we were known as the D-Pledge class.
Yeah.
Our entire class D-Pledge. So
Yeah, it definitely, the sleep deprivation didn't do it for us. And the sisters, we were actually, people would say that we were the pledge class that pledged them, because they would, like, tell us to get their breakfast orders, and we'd take all their breakfast orders, and then the next morning we'd be like, we're not getting them breakfast. They're torturing us. Why would we bring them breakfast? We were, again, like, really naive going into this. I remember the night before we started pledging, my dad was like, oh, you don't know what you're in for. I'm like, Dad, what do you mean? People cannot bully or be mean or haze you. Like, that's not acceptable. And then it was a rude awakening.
yeah,
Like,
very naive.
it wasn't like physical anything. It was just like the sleep deprivation, the mind games. Like, we were just not about it. And that's never how we had to make friends or wanted to make friends. And it was just like, we kind of knew that that was just not the vibration we were in. And I'll never forget one night at the bar at Nacho Mama's where I met Vinny, but this was another night. It's really crazy because Lou, Jamie's fiance, is Vinny's big in their fraternity. So we're literally like family, every which way you see it. But one night at the bar, I got harassed by a sister because I was hanging out with Vinny, and that was his ex. And she was screaming like foul language at me, spilling drinks on me. It was like really insane.
Sorry,
Hofstra was like a gross place. I'll say it here.
The best, and
Yeah, it was a lot of fun,
fun.
but also like really, it needs a really big like energy cleanse. Hopefully, someone went in there with sage in the last few years because it was dark for sure. Yeah, so we both met Jamie's future husband and my husband
at the same time,
same weekend,
the same time,
right?
Yeah.
And you were dating Lou. Well, you were like hooking up with Lou. And I was hooking up with Vinny, and then they were both assholes
Yes.
to us.
So then we had to take a break from them for a while. They took a break from us, and
For like a decade.
How
How funny.
We all came back to each other, which is very interesting. How
It
everything
is.
worked out, and it just shows like timing is everything. Because if we had stayed together in that time, it would have never worked out because we both had so much growing to do and had to experience everything in life that we experienced in between. So it just really shows that everything happens at the exactly right time that it's supposed to happen.
It's so true. And like, you guys are totally different people today. Like when you tell stories of like Lou then, or
yeah.
like of course Vinny then, it's just like
night and day.
And the same for us. We've grown so much, and we've overcome the challenges of an eating disorder, and we're able to really feel just healthy and safe in the body that we have now, because eating disorders really affect the relationships you're in.
Right.
And if you're if you're not being honest with yourself and being able to respect yourself, the people in your relationship feel that, and they suffer from it as well. It's definitely, and I think that's a lot of our friendships that we had ended because of the inner struggle we were
Right.
going through. It was too much for some people to be part
Understand
of.
and understand. If you're not in it
Yeah.
and you don't understand what the person who's going through it feels, it's really hard to kind of feel that empathy and understand what they're going through.
And that was something really hard for me because we had another best friend, really close friend. And it took me so long to finally like mourn that relationship because I believe what pushed her away from me was that I was struggling with an eating disorder and she didn't really want to be around that energy. I don't blame her, but I felt so sad that someone so close to me couldn't be there for me during my darkest times. And it took so much healing to finally be like, okay, I understand. And I accept. I accept where I am. I accept where life has brought me because you're right. Everything is divine timing. So I feel like there was something else I wanted to say before moving on to our next chapter. But this next chapter is really serendipitous too. So I'm going to start this one.
Okay.
So we both went to school to be teachers and we studied education. And I finished a year before you because you did a 5-year program. So I finished a year before and I was like eager beaver, ready to like get out and work. I was so excited to get a job. And I became an elementary, a TA, a teacher's assistant for a year. And after that year, I was like, that's it. I have to go and get experience. I'm never going to get hired on Long Island. I need to go into the city, get experience in the city. So I told Jamie, I'm like, that's it. I'm going to teach in the Bronx. I stayed up all night one night. Oh my gosh, I'm just thinking about the nights that I had back then. But I stayed up all night emailing random principals. I feel like that's just who I am. Like, reach out to everyone, like, put yourself out there, see what comes. And I landed a job during a hiring freeze for elementary general education in the Bronx. I was so excited. I told my dad, he's like, you're not going to the Bronx. You're in a school district. It's close to home. You don't have to drive. Stay here. And I'm like, no, I have to do this. And then I told you, and you're like, are you serious? Like, you were really not about it. And then finally you were like, fine.
So then I did the same thing. I went around calling everybody in the Bronx, everyone all over. And then the Bronx, I had an interview and wound up getting a job there as well. And we wound up being the Bronx is really big. For those of you who are not familiar with the Bronx, I didn't know anything about the Bronx,
No.
but it's pretty big. So we wound up being only like 10 minutes from each other.
Not even. It was like, I think it was like 7 blocks from one another.
Right.
Like, it was crazy. So, yeah, like, we had no idea of the Bronx. Like, we've never spent a lot of time there. Your dad worked there for a while, but we never went to work with him or knew of it. And we one day looked like after because you're a little anxious sometimes and you like wanted to get to school super early. You didn't want to drive with me. I'm like, Jamie, we're probably going close to the same place. And you're like, no, I have to get to work early, whatever.
Before the doors open.
So then, and parking was always an issue. We ended up looking at it on a map and it was literally, I think, a 7-minute drive from one another. We're like, what? So we spent how many years? 1 year? Were you at that school? PS 95?
2 years.
2
And then I
years.
switched over to your school.
Yeah. So 2 years we spent driving with one another, picking each other up. I'll never forget the day I picked you up after cleaning your classroom and your eye just
Oh my
kept
goodness.
growing and turning green.
I had really bad pink eye from the
Bacteria.
soiled classroom I was teaching in, and I could not open my eyes.
It just grew the entire way home. It was bad. So yeah, so she worked at that school for 2 years while I worked at my school for 2 years. And then eventually, as our lives would have it, an opening happened at my school. And the school I worked at, PS8, was such a good environment. Like you hear like horror stories about working for the DOE in the city. It was actually really great. We had a great principal. Shout out to Miss Peralta. She was awesome. And I was like, you're going to love my friends. You have to hire her. And then we worked at the same school for how many years? 1?
1 year.
One.
And then, but we would stay up all night. We would go to my grandfather. My grandfather owned a printing shop. We'd be there till like 3 in the morning making copies because there were no resources in our school. So we would be up all night planning, making copies, just getting ready for the next day. Eat, breathe, what is it? Eat, breathe, sleep. Didn't really sleep.
Didn't
teaching.
sleep. No. And we were also like partying a little bit during that time. So we'd have like nights out. We were single.
Right.
You know,
Young.
yeah,
Very
we were like
young.
23. We'd have like nights out. We'd wake up like, oh God, we have to go to work tomorrow. This is rough. We're driving to the
At
Bronx.
5 in the morning, waking up, driving.
And remember the dirty chais.
Yes.
When I tell you the stimulants were just out of control, like we were drinking espresso in chai tea. Like
A lot of caffeine keeping us awake.
our poor nervous systems. I remember going into the bathroom one day being like, today's the day I'm going to have a stroke because I was just like really stimulated. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So those nights were it. That's how I describe it. Like how people describe pledging, like the worst fun they never want to have again. That was like the first few years teaching for the DOA
Yeah.
because they literally were like, "Hey, you just graduated college. Here are the keys to your classroom. Here are 32 children,
And no
all at
resources."
different levels."
Yep.
No PD on what to teach, how to teach it.
Right.
No research. We paid for all our own copies. We were making nothing. What did we make? 45,000 starting
Yeah.
living in New York. Like
Spending
that's
money on tolls, gas, flat tires every other week.
literally, literally, yeah.
Crazy.
So it was interesting. I cried so many days in my assistant principal's office, being like, "This is not okay. What you guys are expecting of me and doing to me." Like I had a student call me a crackhead bum in front of my entire classroom. And I just cried, actually. He made me cry, and I was just like, I can't. I'm trying my best here. I can't do it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So from there, after that, I manifested getting a job at the original school that I was working at as a TA. And that's also where I student teach. Student teach it. It's also where I student taught. And I worked there as a leave replacement for this one teacher for a year. And then a spot opened up for me. They were reorganizing the way that they did special ed. And it opened up a position. And I slid right in. I was so excited, which left my leave replacement open.
Yeah.
And what do you guys think happened next?
So as you know, I got an interview. She helped me get an interview, and I wound up going in for her position as a leave replacement, and that wound up turning into permanent position at school. So I've been there ever since, and we taught there together for 6 years.
Yeah. Holy
The
crap.
years just
Holy crap.
yeah,
6 years.
6 or 7. I
That's
don't know.
wild.
I can't count right now.
Yeah. That's really crazy. So we taught there together, and oh my God, the story just keeps on going because now after I left, Jamie actually moved into my classroom and works with my former co-teacher who I was really close with, who I worked with for 6 years. So we're just very connected. If anyone listening is like a friendship interpreter, please contact us because this is like, it's wild.
It's wild. It really is. Everything that we've experienced from like good and bad. Like I would get into a car accident, a week later you get into a car accident, or vice
Yeah.
versa. I would get a flat tire, a week later you get a flat tire. Even our dogs passing at like
Yeah.
a week or two apart. Everything in like in
Yeah.
life we experience, it's like the same timeline.
I didn't get COVID for a really long time, and Jamie got it like last year. And as soon as she got it, I'm like, shit, great. Now I'm getting COVID. And sure enough, the next week, I was like, of course. It's like, that's how it is. Our souls are very, very connected. And now she moved in 4 houses away from me. And now we can never move because we have to live near each other forever. So you guys just got your house.
Yes.
How is it?
It's honestly surreal. Like Erica taught me how to start manifesting and journaling, and years ago I actually manifested Lou. I tell him if he ever finds my journal and sees his name written all over it, he's probably going to think I'm a witch because everything that I started manifesting has come into fruition. And I manifested finding a house in Long Beach, close to the beach, close to my friends, and it all fell together last year. And it's just been a really great experience, and couldn't have asked for a better block and to be closer to my best friends. Now we get to see each other all the time and spend lazy weekends together. So
It's so nice.
incredible.
Vinny just goes out on the balcony and he's like, where are my friends? Because he needs to be doing something 24/7. And I apologize to you guys. I'm like, if this is becoming too much, you just let me know and I'll tell him to chill. But it's so cool. And like this summer, I mean, we got a short time of summer together on the same block, but it was my inner child was so happy because our whole lives have been together. And I spent so much time at your house when we were growing up. You spent so much time at my house growing up. I hope the story goes that we have children together if we decide to, because I mean, everything else has been so
That will
much in
probably happen at the
alignment.
same time as
Wouldn't-
things have turned out so
Wouldn't be
far.
surprised. It's so wild. And to watch your journey, I feel like over the past few years, when you've been starting to be open to manifesting and just like finding spin, because as well as being an elementary school teacher, you teach spin. And I feel like that's been such a huge part of you coming into you.
Absolutely. A couple of years ago when I started, I was completely different place I am now. I was very closed off, shy, wouldn't speak up for myself, and then that transformed me and helped me become more confident, and just I was able to speak up for myself and make changes in my life that needed to change, and just go after for what I knew I deserved and needed in my life.
Yeah.
And since then, it's been just a journey of finding more confidence and self-love.
Yeah. It's interesting because to get up in front of a spin class and teach, like you need so much confidence. What pushed you there? What made you feel comfortable to like take that plunge?
Something when I'm in that room and the music comes on, something inside me, like it sounds so cheesy, but like I feel like there's a fire inside me that ignites, and I just feel so different. Like I feel like a different person in that room. I sound different.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
come across different. It's just an incredible experience, and it's something that helps me in all aspects of my life. I feel like I'm more confident in my own skin now, and I'm able to like speak in front of people now. I was always very, very shy. I wasn't even able to make a phone call to like make an appointment. I would have you do it or my mom do it, but now I'm just more comfortable, and I don't know how it changed me that way, but just something being in that room. They say Pisces are really connected to music, so I think that plays a huge role in it. I feel like I really connect to the lyrics of songs, and it just helps me come out of my shell.
You always have. I just got a flashback to being in your bedroom at like 12 a.m. during a sleepover. And I freaking hated sleepovers. I would spend so much time in sleep at your house, but sometimes I would get like that homesickness, and you'd be blasting like Butterfly Kisses,
Yes.
like the
Very
sappiest,
emotional.
emotional songs. I'm like crying. I'm like, I need to go home to my mom now. Like, no, but it's true with music. That's always been such a deep connection for you, and how you describe how you feel in that room is kind of how I feel during teaching meditations. And like my voice does sound different, and it's interesting that you made that connection too with your voice in that room. And like, does this happen to you where sometimes you forget like what you say?
All the time.
Like someone will be like, oh my
It's like
God, I love what you said, and you're like, what did I say?
Someone
Like,
recently said that to me last week. Like they were like, what you said really resonated with me, and I was like, I don't know what's coming out of my mouth half the time. It just
literally.
flows.
Isn't that incredible?
And when I first started, I was having a hard time coming up with things to say. I feel like I was kind of like forcing things, and I wanted to like plan everything. But now, like you said, it will just start to flow, and it really has started to flow as I become more connected with myself in that room and with the other people. It's really a lot easier to just speak through whatever I'm feeling in that moment.
I love that. I love that so much. And I'm so happy for you. And I'm so happy to be alongside this journey with you. It's so special. It really is. So if you're wondering where she teaches, in case you're local and want to take her class, she teaches at Cycle Bar.
Yes, in Garden City.
Yeah. And it's going to be a really intense class if you join, because she is intense, but it's fun. It's great music. I need to come back. I keep saying that. I'm such a hermit. It's like a problem, but I need to get back.
A lot of fun. You feel really great. Mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. It's more than just a workout for me. It's more of like a mental, it's like the best therapy you'll ever get. That's how I explain it.
I love it. Amazing.
Yeah.
Should I give you like some rapid fire questions and put you on the spot?
Whatever you want.
Okay. What's your favorite go-to food?
Favorite go-to food has to be like a nice vegan thin crust pizza.
Like the one we had this
Drooling
weekend.
over it.
was
Yes,
so
thinking
good.
of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were such a good host, by the way. You really hosted us so nicely.
Anything
over the
that
top.
thank you. Anything that could be heated up and I don't have to cook from scratch because
We're both the
I
same.
don't have any good cooking skills.
Yep. We're the same in that way. We've burnt a lot of things together.
Yes.
Made a lot of messes together. Yeah. What is your favorite hobby or thing to do when you just have like a day to yourself? Like, what's your go-to?
Besides exercise, I love curling up on the couch with a nice book.
And
Psychological
sleeping.
thriller. I used to love sleeping a lot, but now I feel like I have a lot of energy
Okay.
that I want
I
to
love that.
use my time in a better way than just sleeping the day away. So I always
What's your-
say I'm going to take a nap today, and I never wind up doing it.
Is that how you get yourself out of bed? Like, I'll take a nap today.
Yes.
Sometimes I have to do that too. What's your favorite psychological thriller?
I love The Woman in the Window.
Yeah.
So good.
That's a good one.
So good.
It's a good one. What's your favorite thing about Lou?
Oh, he really is just like no BS about him. Like he pushes me to be the best version of myself. And like when I want to complain about something, he never lets me complain. He always has a solution to everything.
Love
And sometimes I
that.
just want to complain. You know, when you just want someone to be like, yeah, I get it. That sucks. He's always like, no, this is what you can do. And this is how you make it better. And it's just like he always has a positive outlook on everything. And he's always trying to make my life better and help me be the best version of myself.
I love that. That's so important in a partner. What's one plan or vision you have for your future?
Future, just to keep growing, maybe starting a family, starting with a dog, maybe.
I love that. Love it. Great place to start. Bam needs a friend.
Yes.
Bam needs a bro. Okay. And what would be one thing of advice you have for someone who's either struggling with disordered eating or with self-confidence, just going through a dark time where they're not feeling connected to that fire that you're now connected to?
Go out and try something new that's a little bit scary, a little bit challenging for you at first, and work through it. And once you find that you're able to overcome whatever it is you're working through, you'll see that you have the ability and you're able to overcome whatever it is in your life. Just channel it through something different. So for me, it was always movement, and just do something that is a little bit scary for you, but once you see that you can overcome it, doors open up, you find a new level of confidence that you didn't know you had it inside of you.
I love that. Thank you so much. I love you.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you. Thank you, guys. I hope that you enjoyed hearing about this very serendipitous and aligned journey with my bestie since fourth grade, Jamie. And I hope that you come back to this episode anytime you need it, and every other episode whenever it serves you. And I'll see you next time. May the longtime sun shine upon you. Sat Nam.